Second. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Chris Sigurdsson, the chair of the board. Welcome to the April 15th regular meeting of the Louisville School Division Board of Trustees meeting. Have some, there is an unfortunate occurrence of the loss of one of our colleagues and our students. Before we begin, I'm going to turn over to Kukum Hilda and Kelsey Lenahan, Divisional Vice President of Indigenous Education, to lead us.
Just a quick mention of the song that we're going to be singing. I usually sing this song to people that just honor them with a travel song, that they have safe travels in their journey to the spirit world. And so the song is used in many different ways, but this is one other way that we used the song as a safe journey for their travels.
And also just oftentimes when we are singing a song of honor or a traditional song, that people, if you're able to stand.
Hey, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, oh. Hey, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, oh. Hey, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, oh. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, oh. Oh, my feet, oh, my
Thank you very much. Thank you for honoring us and helping us honor our friends on their journey, help them on their journey. Very much appreciated. I'd ask you all just to remain standing again, please, and again, for a moment of silence for our colleague, Trustee Darlene Garrier, and our student, Nicole Guillaume, who've left us too soon. Thank you very much. Trying times for us all. Time for us all to gather into. I will now have the, as we always do, the land acknowledgement. And this week it will be read by Trustee Walker, or Vice President.
The Real School Division brings together a community of schools on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe and Anahuac in Dakota. Our division is located on the national homeland of the Red River Métis. We recognize that Manitoba is also the traditional land of the Anishinaabe and Dene. We respect the treaties made on this land and acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past. Dedicate ourselves to authentic alliances with Indigenous communities in the spirit of reconciliation and cooperation. We recognize and honor Shoal Lake 40 First Nation, the source of Winnipeg's life-sustaining drinking water, as well as the treaty territories that generate and provide the electricity that powers daily activity throughout the province.
Now we'd like to welcome everyone participating in this hybrid meeting. Board meetings follow a formal structure where the work of the board is conducted in a public setting, gathers parents, students, staff, and other community members. As chair, it is my duty to preserve order and decorum at all times. All in-person and verified virtual attendees are reminded to observe the procedural bylaws, to engage in a respectful and orderly manner. We'd like to remind everyone there's a 15-minute public question period at the end of the meeting. Verified virtual participants and verified in-person participants bring forward questions for clarification regarding items on today's agenda. If your question is not related to tonight's agenda, please reach out to the division by emailing us. Finally, please be aware that we audio record board meetings for accuracy, and a link to the live stream of the meeting will be made available on the division's website. As otherwise approved, photographs, personal recordings, audio, visual, or otherwise are not. We also like to read our affirmation of our vision and mission before every meeting. Our vision is for all members of our community to excel as caring, confident, capable, and resilient lifelong learners, contribute to a democratic and sustainable world. And our mission is to provide a safe, inclusive, and engaging environment where personal and collective learning are valued and each one of us reaches our full potential. And we have regrets tonight from Trustee Semignola, and Trustee Nordheim is here but had to leave. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda of a regular board meeting from April 15th, 2025. So the motion is that the April 15th agenda for the regular board meeting be approved. Seconder, down in numbers, so we'll need to get those handed. Trustee Pelichuk, Trustee Walker, all those in favor? Vote electronically, so it takes a little bit of time on there. Those of you watching.
Trustee Turner, I saw you put up your hand. Is that a yes?
Yes, that is a yes.
Thank you. We're good.
Thank you. Carried. That the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting for March 18th, 2025. We received no requests for edits or changes, so the March 18th minutes will be accepted as distributed. We begin with good news, LRSD good news from the board, and it's my honor to do that today. So a lot of things are happening in our division and in our schools. A lot of fun and meaningful events are happening. The first one I had the honor to attend, and Mr. Palmquist, Walker, and Emmett were also there. Was the GSA movie night at École Varennes. There's a picture. So that was a really fun night. Popcorn and stickers, and the kids from all of our local schools got together and watched Nimona, which I'd actually seen before. It's a very good film. I recommend all of you to check that out. It's on Netflix. So, certainly an evening of fellowship and fun. Also, the Collège Jean Sauvé, the Manitoba Women's High School Hockey League, they're the champions, 2024-2025. So congratulations to them. Great job and a great season. The Olympians, congratulations to them. Fortunately, I went to the provincial men and women, boys and girls basketball championships, and Dakota was in both, and wasn't their night for either team, but they certainly played well and played their hearts out and had great seasons for both of them. So I'll give them a mention as well. I also went to the J.H. Bruns collegiate production of The Addams Family. And again, that was quite spectacular. They did a wonderful job. I know CGS did Addams Family 2 years ago, I believe. And it's becoming a popular choice for our high schools to put on. It's a great story, and so many talented people, both on the stage and behind the scenes, putting together the wonderful scenery and costumes. The costumes were quite magnificent. So it's just a tremendous job. I'm always in awe when I go to the high school musicals, and I try to go to every one of them. And I'm always in awe that what our students are capable of putting on the stage. So certainly a tremendous evening. Yeah. And that's my good news for this time. So unless anybody has any questions or comments on that, I covered it. We now have good news from the senior leadership team, and today provided by Assistant Superintendent Jean-Paul.
So we're going to start off with some celebrations from Dr. D.W. Penner School. You might think of Terry Fox being a fall-only event, but the registration for the annual runs opens in April of every year. And so this year, recognizing the 45th anniversary of the Terry Fox Run, Dr. Penner School was fortunate to have the brother of Terry Fox, Fred Fox, attend an assembly, which was part of their big kickoff for the 45th anniversary of Terry's Marathon of Hope. So there's pictures that follow here of that visit to the assembly with some photo ops of students and Fred Fox. St. George School is working on an exciting project that is being supported through the BSIP grant. That's the Building Student Success with Indigenous Parents. And so you'll see here pictures of the project that they're working on, which is a star blanket. And so we've got some support from Jasmine McIver, who will be supporting students and community in terms of the sewing of the star blanket, and there's sewing sessions that are scheduled for Wednesday evenings and Friday afternoons in the community space at the school. And so opportunity was given for people to provide some samples or suggestions in terms of what that blanket could look like. That's the middle picture there. And so it's really been a collaborative experience with 24 thoughtful entries and one round of voting that narrowed it down to 7 finalists, and then a second round of voting, which led to the selection of the final design. If you go on, we've got some pictures of Minnetonka School and some of the grade level learning that's happening. And so our grade 2 to 3 students at Minnetonka have been working on a bridge engineering project. And so this inquiry-based learning had students asking the question, how can we design and build a bridge ourselves, and work with collaborative teams to look at the strength of the bridges. They looked at that by adding increased weight to each of them. And so students had the opportunity to work in the areas of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, but also collaboration, problem solving, and looking at a real world application of their day-to-day learning. The grade 1s also were engaged in a grade level wide project. And so they were looking at my environment and characteristics of objects and materials. And you'll see there on the left side, a project that they built of their own community. And so looking at different elements like 3D geometry, they built homes and buildings and thoughtfully laid out the streets and parking lots and made sure to include playgrounds and green spaces. And so it's a lovely project by the grade 1 students at Minnetonka. And finally, the Glenlawn family of schools was together on this past Friday to engage in learning together around treaty education. And so it was some collaborative learning taking place in the morning with the support of Elder Hilda, as well as the Indigenous education team. And then in the afternoon, teachers worked in grade level groups to look at both provincial and divisional resources, and to really talk about how do we take our learning and apply it to our classrooms and to our school communities in a spirit of truth and reconciliation. And that's it.
Very good, thank you. What's going on? Questions or comments on this report? Very good, thank you so much. Now we have board presentation. We always love board presentations. Very excited about this, and I'll turn this over to Assistant Superintendent Anderson to introduce and let us know what this is all about.
Yes, very good. Thank you. At the end of February, Trustee Nemeth and I had the opportunity to visit the Career Internship Program at Windsor Park Collegiate. Thank you to Carla Allen and her students for inviting us and showing us their work, getting us excited about their work, and so much so that we have invited you here this evening to share all of your exciting ideas with the rest of the board and the public who is assembled in the room and online to find out more about your project. So without further ado, and Carla, perhaps you could introduce the students, or are they going to introduce themselves?
We're gonna come up.
Perfect.
We have 3 groups of students that are very excited to meet and present in front of all of you today. We were part of the United Ways Youth chapter. We have been connected to them for a couple of years now, where they bring us in to do various workshops. We package up items for harvest, and then they offered this opportunity to be a part of youth groups where we're looking at the United Nations Sustainable Goals and focusing work around positive social change in our communities based off of goals of their choice. We had been given the opportunity to have one group at Windsor Park Collegiate, and we had 54 students sign up to be a part of these initiatives, and ended up splitting off into 3 different groups with 3 different goals. Tonight, you're going to meet Project Planet, who is going to talk to you about sustainability and single-use plastics and their work around raising more awareness and improving that in our school. We have youth members from Youth Against Poverty who are looking at alleviating poverty in our very own community in Windsor Park. And we also have our health and hygiene who are looking at supporting families. It was in particular our hamper families from our community who could still use additional support, and their focus was around health and hygiene equity. So I think we're going to be in order that you have listed, and I'd like to introduce you to David Coker and Justbria Kaur and Anthony Alozzi for doing the presentation on Project Planet.
Hello, everyone. We are a group of students from Windsor Park College. Are we gonna have the PowerPoint up there?
You weren't given a PowerPoint?
Nope.
Sorry, we weren't given a PowerPoint.
We'll go off the script here then. Hello, everyone. We are a group of students from Windsor Park Collegiate, and we are part of Project Planet. My name is Justbria, and I am one of the co-ambassadors for the initiative. This is
David Coker. And I'm Anthony Alozzi. So to start off, we're going to show you guys a graph about surrounding recycling in Winnipeg, but since we don't have the graph, I'll just talk about what we have. So in the first graph, the graph showed the percentage of how much plastic makes up Canadian Winnipeg landfills. And 13% of the landfills in Canada were plastic. In our second graph, we're gonna show 27.6% were recycled in 2023, and the
Anthony,
remaining percent of the landfills
right,
was.
Anthony, we're gonna pause for 5 minutes. Ms. Allen is gonna send me the PowerPoint presentation to help you with your presentation, okay? So just give us 5 minutes. We'll do some other business, and then once we get that up and running, you'll have your PowerPoint. Okay?
Good. We could, yeah, sure. Going once. The next item is going to be board education. And we were going to be talking as a group about the proposed provincial legislation on fundraising and spending rules for school board elections. Currently, there are none. So we had a presentation a few weeks ago from a group called Just Election. They were talking about what they wanted to see in the proposed legislation. And after they left, we now have the proposed legislation. So I'm hoping that some of my board colleagues here have some thoughts and can weigh in on their opinions. We think should be in the legislation, changes could be made for our elections. I'll open it up to anyone who wants to chat.
I think the change in the legislation is good. It did not include anything I was worried about, and it included everything that I thought was necessary. So applaud the province, as well as in particular the advocates who have been working towards that.
And just for our public here who are maybe not know this, if you're running for city council or mayor or a member of parliament, there are fundraising rules, and there are the money that you raise has to be spent a certain way. You can only raise so much money. You can only raise money from certain groups and certain amounts, and then that money has to be accounted for at the end of the election. School boards have none of those rules, mostly because nobody wants to give us any money. And we mostly work on our own or from family or friends to raise the money that we need. There's no accountability for it. Some folks thought that could be dangerous and that changes needed to be made, and this is the new proposed legislation. So that's the groundwork. Yes, just a culture.
I would just hope that with this legislation, the tax considerations regarding trustees also changes, because with the ability to raise funds and cash donations, we should also be able to claim expenses and everything related to our campaign in the same way. Otherwise, it doesn't really help in any way.
Wait, your hand was up?
I was just going to echo what Ryan said, that I think that it's important that we introduce rules into the election process. And now that Trustee Kolachuk has brought up that there's other considerations, I think that's also important. Bringing that up.
Trustee Nemeth.
I guess from my perspective, part of the conversation needs to be aligning the rules and the regulations across all campaigns. So for school board, for city council, for MLA, in terms of reporting, the impetus for Just Elections and their advocacy work stemmed from the last school board election in 2022, when there was outside of province donations to campaigns in Winnipeg and the concern that there was influence that was being sought that did not exist locally. And one of the challenges, I guess, for me is that unless you establish a real-time reporting structure, nobody's going to know who donated to anybody's campaign until after the election. And that in and of itself is a huge challenge. And if it's going to apply to the, couple of trustees that received donations, how do you then not include anybody else who runs for elected office in the province and perhaps is being supported from funds coming from outside? So I think there's still lots of conversation to be had. It's certainly not anything that I feel is problematic, other than ensuring that it's well thought out and that the goals of implementing the legislation is in the end going to do what government wants it to do. To the chair's point, most school trustee elections are self-funded. There's not a whole lot of money that comes the way there is for other elections. So I think we have to be really mindful of the why when we're investing in this process that's going to have some requirements that may not address what the issues were to start with. So just my thoughts, but I appreciate the work that they're putting into this for sure.
I would certainly echo that good that something's being done, but we have to be careful that what's being done is going to actually be helpful and address the that are that need to be addressed. And so it's a good first step, in my opinion, and there are going to be public hearings. Again, as a board, we're going to have to decide whether we participate in these public hearings and make a presentation. Something that we, again, will discuss amongst ourselves. How are we doing on time there, Amy?
We are ready
to go.
Yeah.
Excellent. We'd rather hear you folks than us, so. You need to start from the top or start where you left off. It's up to you.
Yeah, we'll start. Here we go.
Hi everyone, we are a group of students from Park Collegiate. We are part of Project Planet. My name is just Priya. I am one of the co-ambassadors of this initiative. And
I'm Anthony Elozi, one of the group members. And I'm David Coker, one of the group members too. So to start off today, we're showing charts surrounding recycling in Winnipeg. So the pie chart shows the percentages of what makes up Winnipeg's landfills. And as we can see from the charts, 13% of the overall landfills in Winnipeg is plastic. And the second chart shows the amount of plastic in the landfills that's actually being recycled. And as of 2023, 27.6% of that plastic was being recycled, which is a big decrease from 2018, which was 33%. The plastic ban was not implemented until 2022, and the amount of sole-use plastics were produced the same amount, if not more, because of the daily usage of these plastics. The urgency or understanding of how damaging this plastics have decreased along with with how much is recycled. We as a community need to re-educate ourselves about how damaging plastic really is to the environment. Like, did you know that the creation of single-use plastics is made from primarily fossil fuels like petroleum and petrochemicals? Or how about it is estimated that 8 million tons of plastic make their way into the waterways every year. An amount that could triple by 2040 if something isn't done. But if that is not an issue for you, what about the issue of us and our health? Many of the chemicals in plastic are known endocrine disruptors, and research has shown that humans exposed to them could lead to hormonal imbalances, reproduction problems like infertility, and even cancer. All these things must be brought to light. We need to understand what is the cause so we can fix it. And our projects will help educate people to help understand it all. Next slide, please. So our project description. So we looked at this stats that we've shown you, and we chose to tackle the issue because we have noticed that many people are unaware towards how their actions regarding waste management results in harmful environmental consequences. We often see people in school using the wrong bins or just leaving the plastics on the floor or just not giving enough attention. This is why we want to do this project. It will educate our community around environmental waste and to inspire changes to help recognize the problem. To do this, we have come up with an initiative that involves educating students, staff, and community members around us, holding collection drives, making an art piece to spread awareness of plastic waste, and inviting the guest speaker to our school to talk about the issue. We would also like to start expanding this project to other LRSD schools if possible.
So in our group, Project Planet, we have 6 amazing students who volunteer their own time in their busy days to help organize and volunteer to target over 800 individuals around our school and community. And we are hoping to expand that number. We wouldn't be here without 2 amazing staff members who have helped to guide us to where we are now. So Miss Carla Allen, who is here with us today, and Miss Carrie Baer, they introduced us to Youth United Way, and we took initiative to start our own project surrounding environmental awareness. Next slide, please.
And now let's talk about how we promoted our initiative around the school. We put posters around the school, the libraries, the hallways, the offices, for people to get more awareness. And we also used our school's social media platform, mainly the Instagram. We also posted a lot about our initiative and what we're planning to do in the coming days or weeks. And we also use the school announcements daily, weekly to spread information about what we're going to be doing in the coming times. And also we also did classroom presentations. We presented in different classrooms. Different members of the group took different classrooms, and it was a really fun and exciting presentation. And people actually listened to it, and then they showed positive responses. Yep. Next slide, please.
So in terms of updates, Project Planet has held a school-wide plastic drive this past March, and it was very successful. Throughout the course of just 1 week, our school managed to collect several bags of plastic in an effort to reduce plastic waste. Part of why this drive was so successful was because we have continued to raise awareness around our initiative using posters around the school, as we mentioned earlier, and in class presentations for grade 9s through 12. Here, our team went from classroom to classroom and prepared a little presentation, just reminding students of what can and can't be recycled, why it's important to be mindful of where your waste is actually going, and also how students like them could help support our project. Currently, we are also in the process of building our final art piece, which is being built using the plastics we have collected from the recent plastic drive. To the side, you can see that this is kind of what we're hoping to accomplish. And we're hoping to represent that in our school and our community to also bring in that visual aspect of awareness. Next slide, please.
And after achieving what we've done so far, we want to continue our initiative by inviting an honorarium. And we also want to continue holding more collection drives. And as we mentioned earlier, also expanding our initiative to other LRSD schools to further spread awareness and about some of the environmental issues surrounding our communities in the coming times. And slide, please.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for listening.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Orolua Ayodeji, and I am a grade 12 student at Winter Park Collegiate. I am one of the 2 ambassadors for Youth United Project, Youth Against Poverty, also known as YAP Winnipeg. And with me today is...
I'm Adam Donaghy. I'm the financial advisor for Youth Against Poverty. And I was with Ori for the grant presentation that we did in October.
Okay.
Sorry.
All good.
Technical difficulty. Second. There we go. Sorry.
Next slide. Here is a quick overview of what we will be covering today. Slide, please. Our project, Youth Against Poverty, is driven by our beliefs as a group that no one should have to go hungry or feel ashamed for needing help. That is why we plan on tackling the first 2 United Way Sustainable Development Goals: no poverty and zero hunger. We plan on reaching beyond typical measures by planning and executing purposeful initiatives that support these SDGs. Today, Adam and I will be sharing how our initiative not only provides immediate support, but also how it has been going so far and our next steps. Next slide, please. According to the City of Winnipeg's 2018 Windsor Park Census, over 13.8% of people here in Windsor Park earn under $10,000 a year. Many of us at Youth Against Poverty have seen the effects of poverty firsthand, and it is more than a financial issue. It creates barriers to health, dignity, and opportunity. And the stigma makes it even harder for people to ask for help. We believe it is time to break that cycle. To us, YAP isn't just a project, it is a movement. And here's how we are taking action. So we planned on launching a 2-day soup kitchen to provide healthy, affordable meals to anyone who needed one. We also shared recipes so people could make those meals at home, but we are not just stopping at food. Through school presentations and workshops, we are raising awareness, building empathy, and teaching practical ways to support those that are in need. This way, we meet immediate needs and work towards long-term changes. For our first soup kitchen, we had over 20 volunteers and served around 20 participants. The funding we received helped us buy ingredients and will support our future events. In total, this project will directly support 30 plus individuals and families, and we hope it sparks a ripple effect of compassion and involvement across our community. Next slide, please.
Okay, so details on what has happened so far. So our soup kitchen, we started, we were basing it a lot on efficiency. We had to promote quite a bit. We tried our best. We made an Instagram account. We designed posters. We had it on announcements, and in the church, the community church where we were going to, where we had our soup kitchen, we had posters up and in their newsletter so that we could try to reach as many people as possible. I think we were planning on doing posters around the community, but printing was a bit of an issue, and figuring out where to put these types of things to try to reach as many people that would need it as possible. Our soup kitchen, we started on a Friday so that we could, so we started on a Friday so that we could try to like maximize our time as much as possible. On Friday, we prepped absolutely everything that we could. So we chopped veggies, we shredded our chicken. We portioned it all into separate servings. So each pot was for 25 people, and we had 50 servings of minestrone and 50 servings of chicken noodle soup. So we had, 4 portions of each, and then, 2 portions of chicken, 2 portions of onions, stuff like that. And then on Saturday, about a dozen volunteers showed up, as well as Miss Allen, to begin stewing our soups, which was made much easier by the prep from the night before. Our kitchen opened at 4 p.m., but as we were made aware very quickly, our advertisement may not have hit the community as well as we had hoped. And we didn't receive as many people as we wanted to. A member of United Way did come by and test our soups, as well as leaders of the church. And many family members, coworkers, peers, other students came by to fill in slots. And by the end of the evening, we ended up giving a lot of the soup to members of our group, or to other people that we knew needed it, as well as to our school's community room, where you can get free food at lunch, or pretty much any time of the day if you need it. So we had put our soup in there so that other kids in our school who may have needed it but may not have been able to come to us could get it there as well. All in all, our collaboration and teamwork served for an efficient soup kitchen that created 2 delicious soups that were enjoyed by many. Even if those people may not have been our complete target audience, we still served many people. Is next slide the next one, or just?
That was the soup kitchen.
Okay.
Next slide, please.
So our next steps, we would like to contribute to the community in an alternative way, where maybe advertising would not be as necessary, and maybe anonymity would be more idealized. We had several ideas floating around that could fill out the rest of the grant that we were gifted, as well as the second half of our plan. And we are planning now on an education portion, where we would bring in professionals. We have someone from the company Leftovers, which takes bulk food and distributes it throughout our city, that will be willing to talk in meetings at our school that would either be mandatory or sign up, where they could educate students from grades 9 to 12, or teachers, whoever, about poverty and the stigma around it, and how to provide for people that that may be suffering with this sort of thing. We're also communicating with feeder schools like Frontenac, I think like Shamrock, stuff like that, to see if their needs can be filled by our grant. And we're seeing if our connection with United Way can improve our impact, and see what we're able to do with our remaining grant.
So this idea originally came from my co-ambassador, Landon Sanderson, who's also in grade 12 at WPC. He shared this concept with us earlier on, and with our team's community experience, we decided it would be a great idea that it won't only feed people temporarily, but also call other members of the community to help those that are not as privileged. Next slide, please. And Youth Against Poverty is taking real steps to fight hunger and poverty, both through direct support and through education. By serving meals and hosting workshops, we're not just addressing today's needs, we're also trying to inspire change for tomorrow. That'll be all from us today.
Giving me fits. Yeah, just turn to black.
So this is.
There we go.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Emily, and I'm here with Debbie and Joju from Windsor Park Collegiate to present our initiative, Health and Hygiene Equity. Our project is addressing a simple but incredibly important issue, hygiene poverty, a lack of access to affordable, essential, and safe sanitary products. Based on our research, globally, lack of access to affordable hygiene supplies force families to make difficult choices. In North America, 33% of low-income families report bathing without soap because they can't afford it. 50% of these families worry about their children's hygiene, affecting their confidence and well-being. Even more concerning, 73% have to cut back on food buying hygiene products. This problem not only impacts personal health, but also their ability to thrive socially and professionally. While hygiene poverty is a global issue, let's take a closer look in our own community. In the Windsor Park area, 7.5% of the households have an income of less than $10,000 per year. That makes up to 9.6% of the Winnipeg. These financial hardships make it nearly impossible for many families to afford basic hygiene products. And who are we? Let us introduce ourselves. We're Health and Hygiene Equity, dedicated to address hygiene poverty in Winnipeg. Our mission is simple: make hygiene a right, not a privilege. This includes distributing hygiene kits, improving public washrooms, and educating our community about proper hygiene practices. Together, we believe we can create a healthier and more equitable community for all. Now let's talk about our solutions. Our solutions focus on 3 key areas: distribute, improve, and education. How are we going to distribute hygiene kits? To distribute them effectively, we worked with our school student service team. They have identified families in need based on the hampers list, ensuring no one is overlooked. Once the requirements are collected, our HHE team will purchase the required item and carefully package them into individual kits. These will then be distributed secretly by student service, with privacy being the top priority to respect the dignity of the recipients. To ensure that recipients feel comfortable and respected throughout the process, we prioritize privacy at every stage. For example, the kit will be packaged in a non-transparent bag, allowing students to carry it around in the school with complete confidence and without any concern about privacy. And how can we improve public washrooms? Public washrooms are essential for hygiene. Many lack of basic supplies. For instance, out of all the washrooms in WPC, only one has a vending machine for sanitary pads, and it's empty. This happens because whenever student service refill the machine, it's empty by the end of the day. The school is unable to keep up with the demand, and it's clear that change is needed. To improve them, we plan to provide female sanitary items, deodorant samples, first aid kits, and hand sanitizer. These additions will make public spaces more accessible, ensuring everyone in the community have access to essential hygiene resources when needed.
So, how do we educate? Educating and raising awareness about health and hygiene is able to benefit everyone in the because education can encourage people to change their attitudes and behavior over certain issues. Our plan is to blend education and fun by organizing workshops and school activities. We'll also use the school announcements and simple posters to create an environment that can inspire and influence others. We can spread awareness and create change because even $1 helps. Education is the foundation of understanding, and understanding is the first step towards building a better and more informed society.
The plan was pretty straightforward. In December, we had our food sale fundraiser, which helped us gather a little over $300. Because in January, we all had exams and had to prepare for the grant proposal, not much really happened until February. When continuing in February, we received a $1,000 grant, which is pretty fortunate, and we were able to continue our initiative. And recently, actually, was it today, right?
Yep.
Today, we finished packaging, not finished packaging. We finished distributing the hygiene kits to student services and which are now ready to be distributed, obviously discreetly. And then we also plan to have another hygiene kit distribution later in the year, along with another fundraiser to fund it all. How we promote our project. We promote HHE through our school through monthly posters and sharing mission progress at WPC Royals. We also took the opportunity to raise awareness during our school's open house night, engaging with families and introducing them to our initiative. So far, we've hosted successful fundraisers and plan to host another soon to support the upcoming workshops or purchase more hygiene kits. While our workshops haven't started, we are actively planning to educate and connect them with more people. We are also working on our public washroom improvement, making them cleaner, safer, and more accessible overall. Together, these efforts will help us move closer to building a healthier and safer community. Slide. HHE's main goals from the very beginning, we can see this idea, was to just help people, to extend a helping hand and ease one of the quote-unquote minor priorities of a family struggle. We've made meaningful progress in this by supporting the 25 families receiving hampers. The hygiene kits have been organized based on each family's specific needs, and as of today, they have been dropped off at the student service delivery, as I mentioned before. This wouldn't have been possible without the $10,000 grant, which truly went a long way in helping us provide the essential health and hygiene resources to those who needed them most. However, we also plan to continue to replenish the hygiene products. This isn't a one and done thing, essentially. Lastly, our dream, no reality in the making, is to raise public awareness about health and hygiene struggles with the people who are currently facing them. And speaking of money, our budget plan. Oh wait, never mind, slide. Speaking of money, our budget plan. Slide again. It's no secret how expensive things are nowadays, especially with all the tariffs and whatnot. So even with things like soap, toothbrushes, toothpaste, shampoo, and conditioner that might not cost much individually, for the hygiene supplies we were able to provide, we have specified the biological gender female hygiene kits to be more expensive because of the menstrual items. They actually went shopping last week. It's crazy. It's crazy. Our budget plan ensures that every dollar of the grant was essentially maximized. With the money before we purchased anything, $1,000, things were actually already pretty expensive, So after purchasing the things for the 25 families and adding the sanitizers, the first aid kits, the grant has helped us reach many more people than we expected to.
Now for our washroom improvement plan. As planned, we will be using a portion of the budget to improve public washrooms in our school and community. This includes providing essential sanitary products such as pads and tampons, which are often overlooked but critical for many individuals. Due to the demand on hygiene products and our financial need, we will also be hosting another fundraiser at our school. Furthermore, we will provide deodorant samples at our school to endorse hygienic practices. We'll also provide first aid kits for emergencies and hand sanitizers to promote cleanliness and reduce the spread of germs. These improvements aim to make public facilities more accessible, hygienic, and safe, ensuring that everyone, regardless of their financial situation, has access to basic hygienic resources in a dignified and reliable way. Our progress. Now let's talk about some of the updates we have from what we've done. Together as a team, we are about to impact the lives of over 25 families by providing essential hygiene kits. We have a total of $1,323 raised. Our hygiene products have currently been bought and packaged into kits according to the family's indicated need. The hygiene kits include 40 products we received from the donation drive we had in March. They also will soon be distributed around our community and school. Currently, our team have split up into two groups to work on two major things. One part of the group are working on contacting elementary schools to get permission for our hygiene practice workshop, and the other group members are working on another fundraiser to support our initiative. In conclusion, health and hygiene equity is about more than just providing supplies. It's about restoring dignity, promoting health, and strengthening our community. With your support, we can bridge the gap for families in need, improve public facilities, and create lasting change through education and awareness. Thank you for your time, thank you for your attention, and thank you for allowing us to share all about our impacting project. We're so grateful for the opportunity to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to have the three separate but interacting groups. It's really impressive, so thank you. I'm sure we have lots of questions and comments from our board here, so start off with just a conquest.
Yeah, I just one quick thing, all three groups. To the environmental group, love your project. I think that plastic, like what to do about plastics is probably one of the most important environmental issues of our time. And in particular, your proposed solution, I think is great. I mean, you may be too young to remember when concern about plastic pollution sort of first reared its head, but when reduce, reuse, recycle was first put forward as a slogan, it feels like we lost our way from that, because it's supposed to be reduce, reuse, recycle in that order. And at some point we got this idea that recycling is just like a panacea that just fixes this problem. But you have identified that it is it's about reduction and about reuse and creative reuse. And especially now that plastic recycling is for all intents and purposes over in the world due to the moratorium on export to China. So good for you. And I wanted to know if you have any Earth Day events or actions coming up. I'd love to pop by if you.
So we haven't thought about that right now, but that is a really good idea. I would really like to integrate that into our plan. So yeah, I'd keep you updated on that.
Thank you. And then just quickly on the hygiene group, I thought it was fantastic. In fact, you are raising the point about the bathrooms at Windsor Park Collegiate. One of the things I observed during our recent budget that we adopted, and we did a consultation program through something called the Thought Exchange. And among participants who identified themselves as LRSD students, concern about hygiene and bathroom condition was one of the top responses. So you're definitely on that, and I hope that we have all heard you here tonight, and I hope that we can bring that forward for discussion on our agendas now and in the future. And then just the Poverty and Soup team, love what you're doing. I think that I had just one a couple of recommendations. There's actually a group in Windsor Park called Soup Fairies. Have you heard of them? Yeah, so it's actually led by a former LRSD staff person, Paulette Cote, and they have a distribution list of people that are that would benefit from getting some soup specifically. So that might be a great resource to connect with. And then the other one that came to mind was MASS, the Mutual Aid Society. And they're another organization that has really good at like connecting those who have with those who need. So those are two resources you might consider, and just fantastic work on your project.
Else?
One of the things that I didn't leave with when I had a chance to meet with you with Mr. Anderson was the extent to which there was that great need in Windsor Park. And what I took away this evening was that those pieces of data that you shared that offered percentages of the number of folks in your community that are impacted, and how you can work to sort of alleviate some of the challenge that you see that needs to be mitigated. So I think those, numbers don't lie. And I think those percentages that you offered are very stark. And they're very important because they just are a reminder to everyone that in a city that has, and not so far outside of Windsor Park where there is affluence, there are always pockets of need. And so I hope, and I like that you used you know, the words dignity when you were talking about your hygiene kits and that you talked about sustainability. So I'm curious, knowing that many of you are in grade 12, how you're going to keep this going, because you've got great momentum, all three of you. So no pressure, but I hope a year from now, there's still these posters to be seen and soup being served up. And I'm so proud of all of you. You should be really proud of yourselves. And I know Carla's probably levitating right now because you're just her dream come true. And I know she works hard to support all of you. So good on you. And I know you've got lots on your plates with graduation and exams and jobs and all these other types of things. So the fact that you're putting time aside to give back to your community is commendable, and it's really quite heartwarming. So good on you.
Mr. Walker.
Thank you very much for all of your presentations. Those are all very pressing issues. Your presentations all made me think of a quote from one of my favorite books, the Lorax. I'm a grade 1-2 teacher, so I read it at least once or twice a year to my students. And at the end of the book, it ends with this quote: "Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better." It's not. I think the world's a little bit of a better place for all the work that you've done. So thank you so much.
I just wanted to, again, thank you for all of the hard work that you obviously do in your projects, but also the hard work and the effort that you put into your presentations to us today, and the graphs and the work that was put into that. It really shows us how much you care about it, how much you really want to communicate to all of us how you feel, and that's tremendously important, and it really shines through. And I just wanted to say how much I appreciate that. I know it's not easy to come and talk to a bunch of people, but you're obviously made the effort and you did great. So thank you very much for that. Again, the three separate things, but together, I think was very impressed by. And again, with the hygiene issue, hygiene samples, and that's something that's, I believe, and I think you've hit on something that's coming, and it's going to become more and more important. I know that with the food and the food banks, I was just at a conference and they had the bin for the food, the tin for the bin, you put in the food. But they also had, this first time I've seen this, they had a bin for small size items, hygienic items to collect. So I think that's, again, that's a coming thing, and you're on the forefront of that, and it's very important, and I applaud you for that. The question I have for that, specifically for your group, is how did you go about deciding which of the items to include in your kit?
So we have, like, originally we have listed a bunch of things that we think we might need. Like, for example, we didn't really include dental floss, but we have it listed. And then we searched for the price. We realized they're super expensive, so we're probably not gonna include everything.
Right.
And then we actually talked to student service about it. They help us identify like which is more essential, and whoever the family needs, like, because different families have different amount of individuals in the household. So they help us identify like how much product needed for this family or how much needed for that family. So we have like different size of the pack. And then,
so you tailor the kits to the family who's getting them. That's important. Great. Well, thanks a lot. We'll give you another round of applause.
I just want to say, as a former or a Windsor Park Collegiate grad alumni, I just want to say how proud I am and how proud our community is of you guys. This was an amazing presentation, and it's amazing work that you do for our community. I love this community as much as you, and it's just fills me with such pride to see all the work that you're doing. I want to invite you to reach out to me to have a discussion about some of your needs, because some of the needs you described today is stuff that I could probably help support and solve some of these problems with you, whether it's access to bulk purchasing, connections with community and the like. So so Miss Allen and students, I really encourage you to reach out to me in the next week or so. I would love to come down. Usually down there once in a while, pop my head in, but I would love to help support you for the rest of the year and whatever brings in the future. Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thanks again for coming. Just like to have groups come and chat with us, so thank you. Okay. So now it's a tough act to follow. We go to a whole bunch of staffing issues, beginning with principal appointments. The first one is there's a motion that Michelle Kennedy, currently vice principal at École Sage Creek School, be appointed as principal at École Varennes, effective August 1st, 2025. I'll need a mover and a seconder. Nemeth, Trustee Kolachuk, and I'll call on Superintendent to provide some background to this.
Well, the need for this appointment is as a result of Principal Amy Hayward's decision to retire. And as you observed, Michelle Kennedy is presently Vice Principal at École Sage Creek School. And we're recommending her appointment as Principal for effective August 1st.
Any questions or comments? Not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Hands up there, Jamie.
Yeah, there's nothing coming up for me to vote, so I'm for it.
Thank you very much, Trustee Turner. Got it.
Thank you.
We're good.
That's been approved. Very good. Congratulations, Joe. Next, we're at 6.2. We'll be appointing a divisional vice principal for the Therapeutic Learning Center. And again, Superintendent Michalik will give us context on this.
We are reimagining one of the divisional vice principalships to focus on a new therapeutic learning center in 25-26. And it will be a center we anticipate will serve approximately 30 students in grades 7 to 12. It will provide wraparound service. The center will be there for students in need during the school day, but during the evenings and on weekends. The individual, the colleague we are recommending for appointment to this role is Chris Heidebrecht, currently the vice principal at Glenwood School.
So the motion is that Christopher Heidebrecht, currently vice principal at Glenwood School, be appointed as divisional vice principal of the Therapeutic Learning Center, effective August 1st, 2025. Again, I'll need a mover and a seconder. Walker, Kolachuk. No questions or comments. I'll call the vote. Those in favor?
Favor, Trustee Turner?
Yeah, I vote yes.
Thank you.
It's I'm not getting the voting option. on
Yeah,
my
just do it
computer.
verbally. We're good.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Motion is passed. Relation to Chris. Again, we have another vice principal transfer at 6.3. And this is that the motion is that Jolene Pina, currently vice principal at Collège Jean Sauvé, be transferred to the new French immersion school serving Sage Creek and Buena Vista. I always want to say Buena Vista, it's Buena Vista. As the vice principal effective August 1st, 2025. And again, Superintendent Michalik will give some background on this.
We've just approved Michelle Kennedy moving from Sage Creek School As you not appointed her to the principalship, she was moving on to the new French immersion school serving Sage Creek and Bonavista Vista. Given she's a principal, come August 1st, it created a vacancy, and Jolene Capina is moving into that vacancy from Collège Ansouvay.
Very good. Did I get a mover? Did not. Mover and a seconder, please, for the motion. Trustee Walker, Trustee Pawelczyk. Again, all those in favor?
In favor.
Yep. Passed. Yep. So this is Jolene. Now we have three motions under 6.4. This gets a little complicated, so hope we can follow along with me. But perhaps before we go through them all, Superintendent Michel could give us some context on the recommendation that we're about to receive.
Yes. So we are recommending the appointment of Brad Johnston, a teacher at Dakota Collegiate, to a vice principalship at J.H. Bruns Collegiate to commence in August. And this is as a result of Ingrid Peterson's retirement. We are recommending Brittany Cassavant, a student services teacher at Shamrock School, to be appointed to Sage Creek School as vice principal. And this is as a result of your appointing Ifte from Sage Creek School to Collège Béliveau at a previous meeting. We are recommending Greg Priddle, student services teacher at Glenlawn Collegiate, to be appointed vice principal at Shamrock School. This is as a result of your appointing Kathy Ann Winters, vice principal at Shamrock School, to the principalship. We are recommending Kirsten Dozenko, student services teacher at Victor H.L. Wyatt School, to General Vanier School. This is as a result of a transfer of the vice principal at General Vanier School to J.H. Bruns Collegiate. Thank you. And that's as a result of Jennifer Sloan moving on to another opportunity. And finally, we are recommending the appointment of Jennifer Boudreau Allen, vice principal at École Varennes, to Collège Jean Sauvé, because we just appointed or just transferred Jolene to the new school to serve Sage Creek and Bonavista.
Very good. So we're doing all of this in one motion, so I'll take a deep breath, follow along. The motion is the following colleagues be appointed as vice principal, effective August 1st, 2025. Brad Johnson, teacher at Dakota Collegiate to J.H. Bruns Collegiate. Brittany Cassavant, student services teacher, Shamrock School to Sage Creek School. Greg Priddles, student services teacher at Glenlawn Collegiate to Shamrock School. Kristen Dozenko, student services teacher, Victor H.L. Wyatt School to General Vanier School. And Jennifer Boudreau Allen, vice principal at École Varennes to Collège Jean Sauvé. And again, we need a mover and a seconder for these. Pawelczyk, trustee Nemeth. And seeing no questions or comments on these, we'll call the question. All those in favor?
In favor.
Thank you.
Good.
We're good.
Motion is passed.
Yep.
See how each change leads to another change until everyone moves around. And that having been done, we move to motion 2, which is that having passed motion 2024-085, Jonathan Burnham be appointed as vice principal at Glenwood School, effective August 1st, 2025. An explanation for this from?
Yes, okay, sorry, I was caught off guard there. And so as a result of your appointing Chris Heidelbrecht to the divisional vice principalship, that has created a vacancy at Glenwood School, and we're recommending that vacancy be filled.
Very good. So
by the student services.
Again, we'll need a Need a mover and a seconder for this again, please. Trustee Walker, trustee Kolachuk, all those in favor?
Verbal on this one.
Okay.
In favor?
Favor.
Nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Okay.
Everyone in favor?
And then that's passed. Congratulations to all. Jonathan, and the final one is motion 3. That having passed the last motion, Aaron Sheldon be appointed as vice principal at Ecole Barrette, effective August 1st, 2025. And again, I assume this is another part of the moving piece.
That's right. So as a result of your appointment, Jennifer Allen, to the vacancy at Collège Jean Sauvé because of the transfer of Jolene to the new school serving Sage Creek and Bonavista, we have a vacancy at École Varenne to be filled, and we are recommending Aaron Sheldon, student services teacher at Collège Jean Sauvé for that opportunity from August.
Very good. And I'll leave a mover and a seconder for this as well, please. Trustee Walker, trustee Kolachuk, all those in favor?
In favor?
Favor.
Favor.
Yep.
Yes.
Very good. Congratulations to Aaron, and that concludes that round. Congratulations to everyone in their new roles. We do move on then to 6.5, which is another appointment. This is the appointment for the acting assistant superintendent. Secretary Treasurer Nikki again will provide some context for this recommendation.
Thank you very much. We are going to have a leave of our assistant superintendent of staff services. And as a result of this temporary leave, I am bringing the recommendation that Mia Gunther be appointed as acting superintendent of staff services due to this leave effective June 1st, 2025.
Thank you. So the motion is that Mia Gunther be appointed the acting assistant superintendent, assigned to a leave effective June 1st, or as soon as can be arranged. Mover and a seconder for that as well. Nemeth, Kolachuk.
This one's live.
All those in favor?
In favor?
Looks like that is passed as well. Congratulations, Mia. And the final one does not require a vote. 6.6. Pass this over to our superintendent for this.
Well, it's with mixed emotions that I'm announcing that Darcy Cormack has decided to retire from the assistant superintendent position that she occupies. Darcy has served LRSD and St. Patel for over 35 years in many different capacities. She started her career as a 22-year-old in St. Patel and shared in her reflections about her retirement just how she couldn't have imagined then how much her career would bring a variety of opportunities, but having said that, she knew then that she was a part of something special in St. Patel and later. So we'll have lots of opportunity to celebrate Darcy between now and her last day of service in LRSD. Are confident that the future holds lots of joy, excitement for Darcy.
Certainly is mixed emotions. We'll wish her very well and all the best for her, but we certainly will miss her. Thanks for passing that along. Next is at number 7, Chair Information to the Board. The first one is 7.1 is the Manitoba School Boards Association, the MSBA, at the annual convention of trustees that took place recently, the 61st, I understand, annual convention. I was there, a number of my colleagues were there. It was, again, a great opportunity to meet and get to re-know some of our colleagues from all of our other boards from across the province and discuss all the important issues of the day. was a valuable time spent. I'll ask the other folks who were attended to give their thoughts as well. Trustee Palmquist, you were there for a while.
Well, highlight of the conference for me was the presentation from Seven Oaks School Division about their climate adaptation plan. Went into a lot of detail about what we can be doing. You know, I was never throughout my life really keen on like big strategies, and I eventually came around around, about 4 or 5 years ago. I started to understand and appreciate the results that can flow out of high-level strategic planning, and that you don't have to stack up the deliverables and that over time you can really steer a broadly different direction. And Seven Oaks plan is very encouraging. It sends, in my opinion, their division in a lot of good directions that need to be going, with a particular emphasis on the thinking at the core of what they are doing, based on the idea that climate change, in particular, the existential threat to the well-being and safety and life on Earth, is first and foremost a question of intergenerational equity. The people who are going to be the most affected by it are children or not yet born today. And the people who have the greatest ability to impact that future are the people who are alive today. And so it's a sort of a classic time equity problem that would be found in many different models, and they address that. And so the symbolic power of the education system, public education system in schools in particular, as being leaders in saving the world and saving the future for a good future and a healthy future for the generations to come that will come up through those schools, is exactly the right message to send. And I would like to discuss with our board at some point in the future about how we could study what Seven Oaks is doing and move in the perhaps similar direction, or develop a strategic directions of our own.
Interesting. That's good. Nemeth.
Yeah, so I guess a few takeaways for me. First of all, it's always, the convention committee always plans a very interactive couple of days, and the focus on day one is always professional learning and networking, and day two is our business day. So the kickoff was Cassie Campbell Pascal as a guest, of course, former Olympian, former world champion, and Hockey Night commentator now, who showed a really keen ability to connect her experiences with in the professional sporting world, and also work that she's doing with Hockey Canada, to some of the challenges, although they're in so many ways worlds apart, with what trustees are asked to sometimes navigate and consider around the board table. So she was captivating and funny and very eloquent and just really quite down to earth. And it was a really interesting opportunity. I don't know that I would have ever had the chance to hear from her speak otherwise. So I'm glad that she did. We heard from, the board chairs had a meeting with Minister Schmidt, and there was conversation with her. We had a chance, of course, to do business and pass a number of resolutions, all of which the outcomes are recorded in the record of proceedings, and which we as a board should probably spend some time talking about, as some of them might impact the work that we're doing, or we can provide support. There was a welcome from the Commissioner of Teacher Professional Conduct, Bobby Tyfair, and then of course there was an opportunity for us to gather as a large group with our partners in education and our supporters at a banquet. So it was a very full couple of days, but it always ends up being very important in terms of supporting one another as trustee colleagues and as boards across the province, reminding ourselves of the why, that we put our names in the ballot to start with, and then ensuring that as governors and those with oversight responsibility, we are aware of what is happening and are working to affect change through our resolutions process to make sure that the student success that we all work so hard for, community success, family success, is top of mind, and that it is being seen. So just a really good couple of days, and I was glad to be part of it.
Yes, and thank you for that. And it was the end of the 2-year term for our trustee Nemeth as the president of that organization, and thank her for the fine work on the provincial level that she has done during a period of time. It's always great when one of us can contribute on the higher level, so we certainly appreciate the time and effort that was put into that. I certainly agree with you with Cassie Campbell. It was very, very impressive speech. I've seen too many athletes who are hired as professional speakers who give the same sort of speech, but she went above and beyond, and she really tied her work as an athlete and work on the board of Hockey Canada with what we do as trustees. Very, very impressed by that. And again, also it was great to have the opportunity as with board chairs to meet with the new minister who's just getting her feet wet in that role, and it's an encouraging conversation that we had there. So thank everyone for that. Again, it's always a valuable time spent at the SBA. 7.2 is the NSBA, the National School Board Association 2025 Annual Conference. I was lucky enough and honored enough to attend that. It took place in Atlanta. It was a little uncomfortable, I'll admit, traveling south and going to America at this particular time. But it was certainly a very worthwhile experience. Went to give support to our colleagues south of the border who are facing their own challenges and difficulties. CSBA, Canadian School Board Association, and MSBA had representatives there as well. And CSBA put on a session, which I'll talk about in a bit. I got a little, as a Canadian, I got a little embarrassed and self-conscious about having people apologize to me every step I took. But yes, we're a group of educators, so that's goes without saying. I did attend a number of sessions, very busy conference. There came one after another, and there was several thousand people in attendance. There was a dizzying choice of events or seminars to attend. I'll just give some highlights of some of them. I went to one on navigating leadership in difficult times. Again, I found a very, very interesting because again, the school boards there are facing difficult times. The federal government eliminating the federal education department and the cuts that they're facing, and all the other issues that are arising. And the message is to don't panic and keep calm and keep strong, and to keep your eye on the North Star. Meaning that always, when things are going badly and you're struggling, always remember to keep in mind what it is that's within you, what your core values. Don't give up those core values. Whatever decisions that you make, always look towards those values. And I think that was very, very important. And we Canadians had especially the Manitobans, had a good opportunity when talking in sessions and talking with folks down there who are panicking and who are facing difficult times. And we bring up the times of Bill 64, and that it looked like we were goners and the government was going to get rid of us. But what we did was unexpected. What worked is that we mobilized our community, because deep down, whether you're in Atlanta or whether you're in Winnipeg or wherever you are, people are very concerned and interested and care very deeply about their local schools. And governments ignore that at their peril. And that is a power to be, I hate to say harnessed, because doesn't sound quite right because they're really acting on their own and we're assisting. But you know, getting people involved at the local level, saying what they were saying was no way, just try it was a lot of the terms that they were coming up with. So that was very inspiring to hear them talk about that. And another one that I very much found interesting and took a lot of information from was a book banning. Again, that's very prevalent down there with Moms for Liberty and other organizations that seem to be working overtime to make sure that kids can't read, don't read, aren't able to read. Books that some folks think will make them think too much. And so that certainly is there certainly is an effort there to shut down education and to ban books and take books out of library, take books out of circulation. And we talked about all of the efforts to both combat that, but also work with it, because there are instances where sometimes some of the books may be outdated. Some of the books maybe have, again, this is something I thought about listening to them and being a Canadian, being a Manitoban, a lot of the textbooks from my day and even not that long ago didn't have the Indigenous lens and we were very colonial, especially a lot of our history books. And with budget issues and budget problems, sometimes those books don't get replaced. And so you look at book banning from a negative point of view, but it's also, you have to look at it in terms of review what we have and always constantly update and constantly think about what we have and work on that. So that was certainly an interesting session on self-evaluation. And I did pop into the CSBA session. I wasn't going to because it's for Americans. The title was What Canada Can Teach You, but I just happened to be walking by and I talked to the folks who were doing it before, and they said they had the same thing last year and they had a very small gathering. Very few people showed up. But this year the room was packed. It was standing room only. People were very interested in what we had to say. And as luck would have it, I just happened to open the door and walk in, and there I was on the screen. It's a picture of me when with the then Deputy Prime Minister talking about the food program. One of the things we were talking about was how we can work together with different layers of levels of government. So it was kind of funny. I walked in and they pointed out, "Oh, there's Chris now," and I waved. So it turned out interesting. Christy Nemeth, the picture popped up later on as well, meeting some dignitaries in Ottawa. So it was very interesting, but well received. And the questions there were from them were very intelligent and very pointed. And I was quite surprised at how knowledgeable the people there were of what's happening in Canada. Finally, there was one on AI and deep fakes and disinformation, which is something that I, quite honestly, we had a presentation on AI. We talked about AI. It's not something, quite honestly, I've turned my mind to a lot, but I was very interested in the idea of the deep fakes and disinformation and how a lot of it is creeping into schools now and how good it is, how people are getting so much better at it, and how dangerous it is for the education system to have these things pop up, and ways that we can combat that and the ways that we can recognize that. And one of the things I think Congress has talked about this before is about online literacy. We need to teach our kids online literacy and being able to recognize disinformation, being able to recognize things that are false, and understand why and take appropriate actions. That's, I think, it's coming. It's the wave of the future, and we're going to have to really start paying more and more attention to that. So all in all, that's a very long-winded way of saying that it was a very meaningful and useful conference. I learned a lot. I hope to bring a lot of what I've learned back to the board table, and hopefully we can see some see some board work done on some of these topics. So thank you very much. And then move on to number 8, senior leadership team information to the board. Again, we'll pass to Superintendent Michalik, who can tell us who's going to talk about each of these things. 8.1 is capital projects update.
Just a quick update. I'll provide the information. We have a few drone photographs of the new school we're building to serve students in French immersion K-8 in Sage Creek and Buena Vista. Pictures were taken earlier in April, and so if you drive by the school today, it looks still different. We're making very good progress. I'm assured by everyone that we will have occupancy in July to ready the school for that first day in September. And as for J.H. Branch Collegiate, in the provincial budget, there was information about proceeding to design of a final design that would lead to construction of a major addition and renovation. And we've reached out to government for the details of that budget announcement. We've yet to hear back. Had several conversations, hoping to hear back. We will continue to ask for details, and as soon as they're available, we intend to share them with the community. And of course, share them with you as a board. Informal conversations are that, just like we did for Collège Jean Sauvé, we will expedite this project from design to construction and occupancy as fast as we can. We did not get news about the 2 other high schools that are a part of this project. This project that is a response to the demographic pressures in high school. So we continue to communicate with government the importance of hearing about government's intent relative to Windsor Park Collegiate and Collège. We did learn of a project that had already gone to the tender ready, and that is Shamrocks. So quite a few years ago, I believe pre-pandemic, we had on the books the need to have the building envelope at H. Bruns Collegiate rebuilt. So we're finally seeing that project coming to no details yet. As soon as those details are available, we'll make them public, we'll share them with the community, or share them with you as well. That's the capital project update for today.
Thank you. Questions or comments on that? That information, we move then to the workplace safety and health 3rd quarter report. Assistant Superintendent Jean-Paul will give us that report.
So the Divisional Workplace Safety and Health Committee meets 4 times a year, and so this is a report on our quarterly report. One of the items that was discussed were site inspections, and so committee members, as a result of the variance that the division receives, attend the site and school inspections, which has been very well received by both committee members and by our schools and site reps. It's an opportunity for us to do some on-the-ground training while we are participating in those inspections, as well as get some immediate feedback in terms of what the needs of some of our site reps are in terms of better understanding their responsibilities to workplace safety and health. In a previous meeting in response to our quarterly 2 report, there had been a question from, I believe, Trustee Nordheim around online incidents and incident reporting. And so that would fall under the category of psychological injury. And so at any point in time, a divisional employee felt as though they suffered a psychological injury as a result of an online incident that might be an email, an online post, etc. they would be able to submit that to workplace safety and health. One of the pieces that we continue to advocate with the province on is for a greater clarification and direction specific to both psychological injury and the definitions of that. I've mentioned previously in reports that physical injury is very clearly outlined in terms of level of severity, whereas psychological injury is quite broad according to legislation, as well as specific clarification and direction specific to educational settings. A perfect example of this would be, hopefully we'll see the hot weather coming very soon, but the warm weather safe work procedures, not intended for a classroom setting, more intended for the welder who's working in 30+ degree heat wearing personal protective equipment. And so again, many things that within the social services, including education, that we're looking for greater direction on. One of the things related to the Workplace Safety and Health Committee is just this past Friday, there was a clerical PD creating links to some of the work that our clerical staff do in our schools and buildings to the multi-year strategic plan. And they ended the day with a brief session focusing on dealing with difficult conversations. This is to try to be responsive to the needs of that group, and knowing that our clerical staff are often the front line of responding to challenging conversations, phone calls, visits from community. And so looking at ways which they could support each other in the sharing of strategies, but also looking at moving forward what some additional professional development or support that the division can offer. And so some of that was just pointing people back to divisional policy, as we do already have divisional policy that speaks to a respectful workplace. We are in the process of continuing to work towards a fall implementation of naloxone kits in our high schools. And so our workplace safety and health officer is collaborating with our clinical services team. We've also met with our high school administrators and counterparts across the Metro School Division to look at an implementation of those kits within our schools as a means of again, addressing some of the concerns that have come forward from the community. We're also in the process of redeveloping our harassment policy to make it more accessible. And I just want to highlight, as a function of the Workplace Safety and Health Committee, but the ongoing work, the great collaboration between Workplace Safety and Health and the Facilities Department as they work to temper, what is a workplace safety and health issue, what is a facilities issue, but also looking at ensuring that we're looking at our facilities through both of those lenses. And so that is my quarterly report for Q3.
Good, thank you. Questions or comments on the report? Good, we'll move on then to fresh here. Manitoba government introduces universal early reading screening tools. Again, Superintendent Michalek will talk to us about this.
Yes, so we applaud government going forward with the implementation of early screening for literacy in the early years. My understanding is that it will be a pilot next year and mandatory the following year. I know there's been communication between Nico and our assistant superintendent, Ron Cadez, about how they're looking forward to connecting with us, given that we've implemented these screening tools for some time, and learning from us. Of course, I would encourage our government to consider numeracy next. So we are not only focused on early screening for literacy, but numeracy as well. And so rather than solely focus one's attention on students who might be taking a standards test in pre-calculus math in grade 12, to really make a difference and change the trajectory for students, we should really be focusing our energies on early numeracy screening like we are, early literacy screening, and having the patience and the wherewithal to see those investments. And of course, the pedagogical approaches that come of them have an impact on the number of students that would have the confidence to choose pre-calculus in grade 12 and do well on any exam. Anyways, I applaud our Assistant Superintendent, Ron Geddes, for all the work he does in partnership with an amazing team of colleagues to move forward on these initiatives.
Good, thank you. Yes, Mr. Walker.
I'll make a comment. I had an opportunity to see Ron speak about the work that our division is doing at a symposium that was put on by Dyslexia Canada in October. So I'm just really proud to be part of the division that's leading on. Thanks, Ron.
Good. Thank you. Good work being done on this in our division and in the province. That certainly is worthwhile. I'm thinking that we may have this as our trustee education, board education coming up maybe next meeting, talking about literacy and other issues. I know Walker's very keen on that and his work life. So thank you. Then we move on to another interesting topic is the assessment evaluation managed provincial report card policy. This has again been a controversial issue, and we've just received a letter from the Deputy Minister of Education, Brian O'Leary, and Superintendent Michalik will outline the letter and tell us all about what's happening.
Yes, I'll ask the Secretary Treasurer to share the letter online for those joining us and for those of us in the room. I met with the Deputy Minister a few days ago, and he's followed up our conversation with a letter to me. And I want to highlight for you the last lines in the third paragraph. Effective the 2025-26 school year, comma, please ensure that all schools in LRSD are implementing the provincial report card, including percentage grades or midterm reports. So we will ensure that this Deputy Minister's request is implemented and as directed. And of course, this will have impact on one of our schools that has been the focus of media attention with respect to its journey of wanting to ensure that student assessment, evaluation, reporting support student learning. And they've done excellent work as a staff, as a school community, to really challenge their thinking, go deep in their conversations about their practice in a very research-informed, evidence-informed way. It's in keeping with the conversations that I've been a part of in LRSD since 2005. I was hired to take on the portfolio of assessment, evaluation, and reporting in 2005. At that time, having been recently amalgamated, we had binders of report cards. In some, every teacher had their own report card. And I was tasked with bringing people together to decide on a divisional report card for elementary and high schools. And I leveraged that opportunity to have us thinking about assessment and evaluation, not just report. And since that day in LRSD, we've been talking about what Glenn Lawn continues to talk about, finding the right balance of formative assessment and summative assessment, and being very mindful of how, when we report our judgments, teachers, to learners, the impact that has on learning. And so what we will do is find a way to respect and honor the directive we've been given by the Deputy Minister, while continuing to do what we can to get the balance right at Glen Lawn Collegiate and other schools. And I'm confident there's a way.
Thank you. Yes, Trustee Nemeth.
The letter references percentage grades for midterm reports. So it's strictly just the midway point, not the.
Well, the reason for that is that the deputy minister is responding to the media attention at Glenlawn. So at Glenlawn Collegiate, for midterm grades, they were refraining from using percentage grades and using a comment.
Right.
Using words to provide feedback to students. Because we know that a number can have impact. Now, words can have impact as well.
I understand.
And so this is why the letter speaks to ensuring that all schools include a percentage grade.
Right, but it specifically says midterm report, so remind me.
Well, because that was the exception this letter is responding to at Glenlawn Collegiate. Okay. Glenlawn had always been reporting a percentage grade as a final grade and reporting midterms. Some believe, there are rumors out there that there's no report card going home midterm, mid-semester, but there were. How it looked different at Glenlawn was refraining from a grade in order for students to not focus on the grade and stop learning because they'd given up. Because the grade was defeating, was a defeating statement about their learning journey, or the grade is such that they feel they're doing good enough. And so it's this idea that if we're focused on the judgments and we're focused on the grades, we lose sight of learning and what we're learning and why we're learning and how learning inevitably is going to be a struggle, and how we help students to be comfortable with struggle and failure and seeing failure as a sign that one is learning and growing.
So I guess where I'm going with this is that there appears to be, as a non-educator, there's a disconnect, and I'm trying very hard to understand, as someone who went through school and university with the numbers and the letter grades being the be all and end all of a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm getting there, but I do feel that, again, and I've used this a couple times tonight, from a governance and oversight perspective, there is value in the board carving out some time to have a conversation, to have a bit of a debate and a dialogue around how these two ways of assessment are complementary, or how they assist students and parents to arrive at the same point in their understanding. It's just being done a different way. And I mean, there's a bunch of other things too, but at the end of the day, my request, if there's interest on the part of the group and through the chair, to find some time for us to dig a little deeper into this, so that understanding is, and to the superintendent's point, given the media and some correspondence that we're receiving, at least my understanding is a little bit more solid, because I still have a lot of questions, and I'm eager to understand both sides of it. So
I would echo Trustee Nemeth's comments and support them. I sort of feel the same way as you do, Trustee Nemeth, that in the sense that as a non-educator, I don't have a strong kind of scientific or educational background to evaluate the effectiveness of it. But what I do, the background I do have is as a parent. And I think that the strongest, one of a critical plank of moving forward a more equitable and inclusive form of reporting would be, especially one that relies on verbal communication, would be building trust among parents in the community for the verbal comments. I think that there's a tendency, especially through the younger grades, maybe it declines as you reach high school, but there's a definite perception that that report cards are written in teacherese, and that there's a, they have to be sort of deciphered, to draw true meaning from them about what the performances of students. And that's a widespread feeling out there. And I think that if we were to build a higher level of social buy-in and credibility towards verbal feedback by building that up from day one, from the entire course of a parent, of not just a student's journey, but the parent's journey through the school system with them as their guardian, that could go a long way towards creating social capital that could then be invested in innovation, in innovating and making new progressive ideas, and having them stick in how we communicate with the public.
Yeah, well, bottom line is that when we always have the final grade is a percentage. We have not in one school had the midterm grade and percentage. We now have a directive from the provincial government that we have to have that in midterm as well in all of our schools, and that's what we're going to be doing. That's right. Fine. We can certainly carve out some time to discuss other ways, but we have a directive and we're following it. Is the message that we're looking at here.
I'm not suggesting we go against a directive.
Oh, yeah.
I just, and in fact, the letter aside, this is an ongoing topic for a family of schools, a school and their family of schools. So I see it as an opportunity for the board to do some learning.
Yeah, we can have a letter, have a percentage and comments. There's different ways we can do it. We can certainly discuss that, but we can certainly take guidance from our SLT and from our experts and from our schools and staff at schools, but we can, as an oversight role, we can certainly look at about some time at some point. You good? Yes?
I'd love to have the conversation.
Okay.
As an elementary school teacher, when I'm giving comments to parents, I'm really trying to give them a sense of where their kids are and what their next steps are. So I think that it's important for you folks to better understand.
Sure. We'll certainly carve out some time. But thank you for that, everyone. We'll move on then to correspondence. We have some number of correspondence received. I would personally, anyone have any comments on the correspondence? No one has asked me to pull anything out. I would personally like to pull out the letter to Minister Schmidt from Eileen Satcher from Varennes. Certainly appreciate her letter. It's important, very, very important when we're building new schools and there are new schools being built in new suburbs, new developments spreading out across the city, that we don't lose sight of our established neighborhoods and the needs of the established neighborhoods. We have a school there that's well past its use. It's well loved and it's still adequate, but it's well past its use. And we have a wonderful plan in place to put in a school there. The community supports it. Ms. Satcher is the head of the PAC there. They deserve this. And we need to do everything we can to make sure that this happens, that they get the new school there.
I'd like to add a couple comments to that.
Certainly.
And I agree with everything you said, Mr. Chair. Two things to point out. I was a good friend of mine as a volunteer at the St. Vital Museum on St. Mary's Road, and she actually was going through their archive recently, found me a old poster of a community barbecue at Varennes in 2001 to celebrate its 50th anniversary. And just thought that was noteworthy in the sense that in 2001, the school was already 25 years past its designed service life, and that community barbecue was 25 years ago. So I think that's noteworthy. And then, well, sorry, 24. The second thing is, I have strong feelings about Varennes as a parent at that school. But I think that the need for investment in core communities and the message that I want to continue to give to the community is that it goes way beyond just the justice and right of people who live in core mature neighborhoods to have modern facilities, as our strategic plan says. When I took a recent couple of tours, me and Assistant Superintendent Jean Paul took a tour of Samuel Burland a few weeks ago, and that school, which is I guess probably about 40 years younger, at least, than Varennes, is itself no spring chicken now either. There was a rattle in the heater. Yeah, and like that school, relatively new, by certainly comparison to our mature neighborhood schools, is starting to show its age. Yeah. And I think that, so all through Ward 3, which I represent, the oldest school is 20 years younger than the youngest school in Old St. Bell and St. Boniface, but they're all gonna age. And so if we don't come up with a sustainable and consistent approach to replacing schools, this problem will not be too long before we are expanding the scope of this problem from our mature and core neighborhoods to even our suburban communities built in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And right up, I think sooner or later, eventually even Sage Creek School will have this problem if we don't find a solution. So we have to think now and engage not just the Varennes community, but the entire division, in understanding that every sooner or later, every school and every school community in our division will face this same problem. And we have to come up with a consistent, sustainable and manageable plan for replacing our aging facilities as needed.
Even our so-called newer schools are.
Yes. Yeah.
Stress.
Yeah.
Yes, Justina.
So I know we're talking about correspondence, but I'm going to veered into a specific topic. And what I'm gonna suggest is, because this is not a conversation that just Louis Riel is having, right? That all of the metro boards and all of the boards around the province are talking about. So I think perhaps when the next Region 5-6 meeting, board chairs meeting takes place, that we have a conversation, the board chairs have a conversation about what does some kind of advocacy, metro advocacy look like around really putting some pressure on government to have a plan to address all these needs, which are varied and wide and have a massive price tag associated with them. And there's power in collective voice and in numbers, and 6 school divisions coming together with a very focused advocacy strategy, I think might just move the needle, because we need to do something. And all the boards are talking about it, but we really need to start, maybe talking together as we are advocating individually within our community. So, let's get our provincial association involved, and board chairs as leaders and voices of their boards can certainly advance that.
Thank you. Comments on this topic that I brought up? Okay, good.
See what you did?
Thank you. Glad I did. Every once in a while.
It's all good.
So that's all the correspondence. Again, it'll be noted as received and sent. We do have an action item, the re-elevated endowment fund bursaries. We have a motion that the proceeds of our Winnipeg Founded, for a partnership with the Winnipeg Foundation, be used for provide bursaries to our graduating students in the LRSD high schools. This has to be done through a board vote. So I'll call the question that proceeds of the Winnipeg Foundation for 2024 be used to provide a bursary in the amount of $1,500 to a 2025 graduating student at each LRSD high school and at the Louis Riel Arts and Technology Center. Mover and seconder. I'll check. Almquist. All those in favor?
Trustee Turner.
Sorry, I couldn't get my mute off. Yes, I agree. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's been passed. Forward to that. So that takes care of our regular board meeting. We do move in now to the public question period. If I just may get down there. Some registered folks, we have some folks in attendance. We'll start with the folks in attendance. Anyone wish to ask questions of us relating to anything on the agenda? No? Thank you. Yes, you know who you are, but state your name for the record. I got in trouble for not doing that.
Sorry, Sandra Saints here. I don't have a question, but I would like to express my condolences to all of you at the loss of Darlene. She was a really special person, loved working with her, always loved when she came to the school. She just had an easy way. She was friendly and kind. And yeah, I'm very sorry for her.
Yes, thank you very much for saying that. We certainly miss her. Thank you. And anyone online?
Yes, we have Celia. Celia.
Hello,
Celia. Yep.
Hello,
Celia
can
Valel?
everyone? Hello, yes, I'm Celia Valel. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So my question is related to agenda item 9.1 under school board correspondence. So I'm a parent who expressed detailed concerns to the division in a letter to the trustees dated March 29th, 2025 regarding the assessment system based on ungrading that is being used at Glen Lawn Collegiate. I know that I'm not alone in these concerns. I believe that there is increasing concern and dissatisfaction within the community, which is what prompted me to reach out to the trustees. And I set out certain requests of the board in my correspondence. I asked that the division accommodate Glen Lawn families who don't want their children to be subject to this assessment system. I also asked that the division gather data and provide a report on the effectiveness and the impacts of the ungraded assessment system, followed by community consultations to determine whether it should continue. In order to disclose to the community that concerns have been expressed and are being reviewed, I furthermore ask that my concerns be made public as an agenda item and that the board publicly respond regarding next steps. So today I'm just asking if the board is prepared to respond to my requests, if they've reviewed my correspondence, and if they're not prepared to respond today, if they'd be able to provide timelines for their response.
Well, first of all, did you hear the under correspondence, or actually it wasn't under correspondence, it was the letter from the deputy minister?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's going to be a change. But in terms of answering it, I will pass this over to Superintendent Michel, because I understand that the senior leadership team is crafting a written answer to you, which you will have shortly.
Yes, so I think that the best way to respond in a comprehensive, wholesome way to your request is through conversation and correspondence. One of the assistant superintendents will be in communication with you this week, and after dialogue, we will determine how best to respond to your concerns in writing.
Okay. And today the board kind of brought up this whole notion about like discussing the assessment system as well. And I really put it to the board. I really hope you kind of take that seriously and kind of engage in that type of discussion, because there are a lot of concerns from the community regarding what's happening at Glen Lawn. And I just really ask you to kind of delve into the assessment system there and how it's different from other schools, and how like we're forced to send their students there because of our address. We have no other option, and it's so different from any other high school in the division. And I hope that you're aware of that. And yeah, I just ask you to consider that as well.
Yes, thank you. And again, not taking any sides, we've committed to having discussion around this topic, and we will have it in public, and it will be on our future agenda.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. And once you've had the discussions and communications with our senior leaders, you're welcome to contact us again if there's any further questions that you have.
Thank you, I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
That is it online.
That's it online? Okay, thank you very much. It's been a very emotional week for all of us. We managed to get through the public meeting. Thank you all for that. And certainly thank our guests for their contribution. Much appreciated, much respected. I'll call this meeting to a close. I believe we will take a short break and meet again to complete the work that we didn't quite get done at the beginning of the meeting.